So Kyle Larson's dominance marches on in NASCAR's return to Music City. The hot and slick Nashville track mixed with this high horsepower and low downforce package made for some excellent racing throughout the day, and multiple drivers have extensive brake issues that hinder or end their promising runs. All that and more as we review the 2021 Ally 400 from Nashville Speedway. Let's do it. That was it, NASCAR. That right there, that was what we wanted to see. That was racing, ladies and gentlemen. It was a hot and sunny day in Nashville today, and that made for some hot and slick racing on the track, ladies and gentlemen. And with this 750 horsepower engine and this low downforce package and making these cars difficult to drive, you saw hard battles, multiple grooves, and guys having to strategize their way through a race in honestly what was, in my opinion, one of the best races of the NASCAR season so far. Honestly, it was just so nice and so refreshing to have some off throttle time. Anytime we get this package, you gotta love it because it allows that. You just can't have good racing in this high downforce, low horsepower package because everyone's in the gas constantly, and we've talked about it. If we're in the gas full throttle in the same equipment throughout the whole race, or if you're in less equipment, you're obviously going to lose. But if we just have to mash the gas throughout the entire race, where is that seeing who's the better driver? That's what racing is, having to throw your car deep into the corner, try to make it stick, roll that center, and then pick that throttle up halfway through the corner and try to pick it up before your opponent and get that nice drive off the corner and set it up for the next corner to do the same thing. That's what good racing is. Not, I'm going to go full throttle through the corner, you're going to go full throttle through the corner, and we're just going to see who comes out on top, and I'm going to try and use every aero advantage there is to try and stop you or pull you back. No. Drivers having to use their foot to drive the cars and having to use throttle input is what makes good racing. However, though, with all that good, tight racing, the comers and goers, the eventual pit strategy, nobody had anything all day, and it wouldn't be enough to stop the continuing dominance of Kyle Larson. This man is winning everything. NASCAR Cup Series races, local dirt track races. He's probably beating your mom in shopping cart races around your local Walmart, if we're being honest. This guy is just a purebred winner, and someone's going to have to step it up. If it's one of his teammates, we saw Byron able to finish strong and recap a good day after being in the back, starting in the back, and having issues throughout the day. We saw Elliott up front early, but of course the disqualification from the lug nuts would cancel out his finishing position. And honestly, Alex Bowman was kind of nowhere to be found all day. Is it JGR? Is it Penske? And I don't want to hear about this cheating stuff. A lot of people are saying on Twitter that Kyle Larson's a cheater and that Hendrick Motorsports has found 15 extra horsepower somewhere. It wouldn't allow it. NASCAR is too strict with their technical inspection. I mean, everything has to be lined up to an inch. I just don't see them allowing that in any reason. If anything, and this is my opinion, and I think this has got a lot of valid points, Kyle Larson's car needs sponsorship. Obviously, he's got Valvoline, but that car is still being sponsored by Hendrick-owned companies, usually with Nations Guard or HendrickAutoCars.com. And what attracts sponsorship? Winning races, running well, and dominating. And that's exactly what Kyle Larson's doing. So is that car maybe getting a little more attention from Rick Hendrick and being prepped a little more because he doesn't want to have to pay out of his own pocket to sponsor that car because that's not profitable? Probably, but that's just good business. Somebody's got to step it up, boys. That's all I can say, because this man made it look easy today. Led 263 of the 300 laps, and really, I don't think he had any trouble today. He goes on, wins his 4th race of the season, 3rd points-paying race in a row, 4th race in a row, technically, if you want to count the All-Star race. He wants a championship, and right now, he's racking up the playoff points, and he's going to be hard to beat come playoff time. Well, the race would get started with a bang, literally, as going into the first turn on the first lap, Quinn Hoof would smack the wall hard, and we would later find out that his right front tire just completely came off as soon as they went up to speed and got going into the corner. That is dangerous. We absolutely can't have that. NASCAR has to do something to prevent things like that from happening with these lower funded teams. We know they don't have as much money, but things like that are dangerous, not only for the driver and other drivers, but you just can't have things like that happen. It looks bad at the top level in this series. With that, it would set up another restart after the field got a little jumbled through the first corner. But with this restart, Kyle Larson would start the dominance, going 3 wide with Eric Almirola and Kyle Busch through the first turn of that green flag lap. And from there, it was smooth sailing. And after a Tyler Reddick spin leaving pit road after that first set of green flag pit stops kind of jumbled up the field, we saw the first of what would be many brake issues of the day when I believe on lap 50 or 53, Ryan Blaney would hit the wall hard going into turn 1 and 2, just absolutely right up the track, no brakes. You could tell they actually saw pieces of the brake rotor fly off and break on the NBC broadcast coverage, and man, a hard hit right there. Good to see him get out, but we would unfortunately see a lot more of that later on in this race. And then after another freak accident, which saw Justin Haley and Chris Buescher almost have the same brake failure going into the corner, that would split the strategy up with 12 to go in stage 1, as some cars like Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch and most of the leaders would come down pit road and try to get ready for the end and the start of stage 2, while drivers like Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch stayed out to try and get that ever important stage win and stage points. On that restart, Chase Elliott would fight off a valiant effort from Kurt Busch and win that first stage, but as I said earlier, with the 5 loose lug nuts found after the race, his car would be disqualified, so that stage 1 win has actually been transferred over to Kurt Busch, which I believe might be his first stage win of the year, and some solid points for a team that is looking to point their way into the playoffs, definitely. On that restart, Chase Elliott would fight off a valiant effort from Kurt Busch and win that first stage, but as I said earlier, with the 5 loose lug nuts found after the race, his car would be disqualified, so that stage 1 win has actually been transferred over to Kurt Busch, which I believe might be his first stage win of the year, and some solid points for a team that is looking to point their way into the playoffs, definitely. So after cycling back through to the lead after the stage-ending caution pit stops, Kyle Larson would find himself leading again after another strong restart, and then Bubba Wallace would spin in the middle of turn 1 and 2. Now, I'm not sure if this was the spin that he complained about debris being on the track and was very upset with NASCAR not cleaning up the brake rotor debris from earlier incidents, and that might have cut his tire, and that's what caused it. I'm not sure if that was this one or not, but regardless, that's a bad luck for Bubba Wallace. He was having a pretty decent run, and you just hate to see it for a team that's really trying to pick some momentum up and get some top 10s rolling. But Kyle Larson wouldn't just run away to a stage 2 victory easily, as with 12 laps to go, it was Cole Custer who was also having a very good run. He was inside the top 10 when he cut a tire and got into the wall. I believe it was another brake failure issue. I'm not 100% on that one. I know his teammate Briscoe had the brake failure issue. I'm not sure if they said Custer's was, but as I said, he was having a good day for Stewart Haas, who looked to be back this week, if we're being honest. Almirola on pole. Harvick was in the top 5 to 7 all day. As we said, Briscoe was having a good run before his brake failure, and so was Cole Custer, the defending Rookie of the Year. But that would split strategy, and Ross Chastain and Chase Briscoe would stay out during this pit stop with about 12 to go and try and hold off a hard-charging Kyle Larson for the stage 2 victory. They would not be able to do that, as nobody would all day, and Kyle Larson would march on to the stage 2 victory. And from there, stage 3 would begin with a little more of the same. This time, a lot of people were interested with William Byron going to start side by side on that front wheel with Kyle Larson. I know I was really hoping that Byron would be able to maybe get by in clean air and maybe give Kyle Larson a little bit of a test, being the fastest car in practice, and he actually out-qualified Larson before getting sent to the back for that unapproved adjustments, but just wasn't able to do it. Kyle Larson was so good and so strong on these restarts all day, and he was able to get out front and get another good lead going. And with all these cautions, I believe there were 10, it gave guys plenty of opportunities to try and pounce and get in front of Larson on these restarts. So I don't think that can be a case being said that it was a boring race and he just ran away with it because nobody could challenge him. Kyle Busch, I think, had 3 or 4 restarts where he had a chance. Actually, at one point was able to get out in front of him, but Larson just ran him down. William Byron, I believe, also had 3 or 4 restarts alongside of him. He didn't always get the best pushes. I know one of them, Chase, tried to make it 3 wide, and that made it difficult, but It's just, you got to beat the guy. You got, excuses don't matter in the end when he's holding the trophy. Somebody's got to come out and beat him, like I said earlier, and just nobody was able to. But yes, even though he would get close, nobody would be close enough to Kyle Larson, who did save enough gas even for a nice burnout and would go on to collect, as I said earlier, that 4th win of the season. And man, like I said, he's going to be dominant come playoff time. Somebody's got to find something to beat this guy, whether it be in the pit stall, whether it be through strategy, whether it be with a bumper. Somebody's going to have to find a way to beat him, or he's going to spank this field all the way to his first NASCAR championship. Top finishers, of course, Larson won. Chastain with that big 2nd place finish. Byron, as I said, comes back after starting at the back and a few issues early. Finishes 3rd. Big time for that team. I think they're only getting better, and I think a 2nd win is only a few weeks away for that team. Going to Pocono next week. We know he likes that track. Maybe there. Kevin Harvick leads the flag for Stewart Haas Racing in that beautiful Gravedigger scheme. He finished 4th. Eric Almirola, I thought he would fade back early after winning that pole early in the day, but was able to hang on throughout the day. Big top 5 finish, his first of the year. That's big for that team. Next place, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. brought it home 6th. So like I said, after being strong all day, probably the 2nd best car, I think. Daniel Suarez, another strong performance for Trackhouse Racing. He continues to prove that I think chemistry matters on a team, and I think who you drive for matters. It looks like he's having a lot of fun driving for Justin Marks and Pitbull, and the results show it. Kurt Busch actually did run out of gas on the last lap. He was still able to bring it home around 8th. We had Chris Bell 9th, Joey Logano, Kyle Busch did fall to 11th after being strong all day. Something happened around stage 2, and the handling on that car just went away. He was very unhappy with it. Austin Dillon, Ryan Newman, Alex Bowman, and Corey LaJoie brings that Spire Motorsports car home in a top 15 position. That's another good run for Corey LaJoie, who I think is outrunning that Spire Motorsports equipment, and may be another driver who is looked at as a guy who needs a better ride next year. A guy who I think is a possible candidate to drive that one car if Kurt Busch goes and fields a second 23XI car. But that's all coming in the future. Silly season stuff. I might make a video of my predictions and stuff where I think guys are going to go, but hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like I said, next week on to Pocono, it's going to be a little bit of a drag with that high downforce, low horsepower package. Might be a little bit of a snooze fest. I think Radman said it best. At least they put the races back to back, so we don't have to come back 6 weeks later. But going to Pocono next week, we'll hope for the best. Thank you guys for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Y'all like, share, and subscribe for more awesome NASCAR content.